21 players competed at the Stormcrow Games Round 2 Local Championship. This is my local game store here in West Texas. And of those 21, this was our top 8. We had a really diverse top cuts with my brother on Shin Godzilla, myself on Annie Awakened, and then a host of Reign of Kaiju characters. We had Angie, Mothra, Batra, Biolante, King Ghidorah, and then last but not least, we had a Mitchell. So I am going to give you a very brief deck profile on the Annie deck that I played, and then I recorded all of Top Cuts on my phone, and I'll be watching those together with you and providing a little bit of commentary. So let's start off with my deck. It was a very turn 2 aggro focused deck. I did a 180 from my round 1 local championship where I played that super control mill kind of version of Deku. And now I'm going all out turn 2. Basically, every card that's good on turn 2, I took up, and every card that wasn't good on turn 2, I took out of the deck. So when we look at our attack package, we're 4Xing cards, attacks that are going to get us more momentum. We got the tension here. Support gets us a momentum. Determined Advance gets us momentum. And then Jaw Titan's Bite. I normally don't like this attack, but in this deck specifically where we're trying to play 5-6 attacks as early as turn 2. I really like it just to go and find more attacks. We have Harness Undeath to Echo. This is the hardest hitting attack. I should have been on 4X Harness Undeath, but I was on 3X. And then 3X Chivalrous Charge. This also changes into a backup that you can then pick up, and it gives you +1 speed and your rival -1 speed. Annie is very aggressive. We can just pass all of our checks because every time we spend momentum, we're getting +2 to our check and +3 damage, meaning everything hits like a truck, and we can pass 5, 6, 7 attacks as early as turn 2. But she also can say -3 damage and +2 to her check. So you can say -3 damage, -3 damage, and then get like a +4 to your check and be used defensively as well. So I really like the versatility of this character. Several backups. This was mainly just to make the Harness and Death better. Theo is by far the best backup of this bunch. And then we 4X the emerging threats to immediately build these backups in because Annie treats these backups like their foundations. And then we 4X Marley's Warriors. Look, if a character has Warrior on it and they're on the Chaos and Death symbol, I'm going to 4X Marley's Warriors. I really like Marley's Warriors specifically in Annie because you commit and flip it for +1 to your checks. And that gives you a committed foundation to blow up with Annie to get the momentum. You know, I hate it when you check a 5 on your opening attack, and now you are having to blow up a ready foundation or a ready backup if you want to use Annie's ability to get momentum, which you almost always do, at least if you're playing as aggressively as I was trying to play. So Marley's Warriors, love it. Now you're getting like +3 to your checks. I mean, you just cannot fail your checks. Finally free to get you check bonuses. And now we have these 12 6 checks. We're going to have these really wide builds between having 8 0 difficulty foundations and 12 6 checks. Inspiring Song to give bonuses to our check. Short-lived promotion to draw. I love drawing at the beginning of your turn because that's when it has the maximum value. So a short-lived promotion there for that. And then just a single copy of I Would Like to Rage. Hey, we can give a Jaw Titan's Bite powerful 3, but it's really not there for that. It's just for an extra 5 check. And then a military airship. And then the side deck was just Reiner 3 stuff that I was throwing in, even though Reiner 3 didn't really show up at our local championship. So this is a very basic deck. I mean, what you see is what you get. That said, Annie is pretty difficult to just pick up and play. I feel like it takes a couple practice throughs to get the lines right. Went well. I made it into top 8, and then my first top 8 match was against my brother here on Shin Godzilla. This was a rematch of our round 1 local championship of the championship, where I beat Patrick Shin with my Deku. So I have some practice against this Shin list, and I'm feeling really good as Annie. I have never played this Annie into Shin matchup before, but I was telling Patrick that I think it's going to be favored for me because I don't need many foundations to kill you. And I can, 23 health just isn't that many. So sure, he can blow up some foundations, but it's not going to take me that many to be able to string out 5, 6 attacks. And I was just thinking that this is probably going to be a pretty easy matchup into Shin, and feeling bad for my brother that he had to run into the Annie Buzzsaw in top 8. All of this you're going to be laughing at here in just a little bit because I am going to switch us over to the actual games, and I'm going to change my scene here. I did film all this on my phone, so I have to zoom in here a little bit as best as I can. There we go. And let's get started on the games. Now, I am going to watch these at 2x speed and provide some commentary. Sometimes we'll just sit back and watch together. We'll see how it goes. We've got 3 rounds here to go. Each round is about an hour long, but we're watching on 2x speed. So, buckle up. This is going to be about 90 minutes. So here we go. Patrick is the top seed in the tournament, I believe. So he gets to go first. That is very, very important in Shin Godzilla because he's a foundation destruction deck. So he can really choke you out going first, and going second, you can get, if you go first, you can kind of get ahead of Shin. So here we go. We got History's Greatest Monsters. Destroya emerges. Final word. So that's 2 destruction foundations right there. A fast friendship and a monster aggression build from Patrick. Pretty solid. I review a Theo. Go into a Finally Free, a Marley's Warriors short-lived promotion, emerging threats, and a Botan's coaching. And then I go for it on a 6, fail it. Remember, I have 6-12 checks. So I've been building really, really solidly on turn 1 all through this tournament, where a lot of times I do get that final 6 check. But these are really high quality foundations. Now, Shin is going to try and destroy them, but if I can hold on to them, I'm feeling really, really good about getting a strong turn 2. So here comes Too Big to Contain. This one destroys a ready foundation at the end of it. Patrick immediately presses the Destroy Emerges button. Just to destroy my Botan's coaching. He doesn't have to sacrifice any power tokens to destroy his 0 diff. I do get a full block off here, but because I check a 5, I have to keep 2 foundations ready, and he blows up my short-lived promotion. And then here comes Chomp to take down Marley's Warriors. So remember that really nice build I had? Well, yeah, I'm already down to 2 foundations. That's just how it is. 2 power tokens here for Patrick. Cape of No Return coming out. Pretty solid defense here. A draw, and then an inspiring song, and then he's going to use final words to take down my Finally Free, and now I'm going in my turn 2 on 1 foundation. 1 foundation, Patrick's got a Cape of No Return, 3 power tokens, and 5 foundations. This game is just super lopsided out the gate. I'm going to have to take this turn basically and have a build turn. So military airship, Theo, short-lived promotion, check a 3 on it. Another backup, and a 0 diff. So I'm trying my best to build up here. Benefit of military airship is that Patrick would need like devastating loss in order to destroy it. Shin and a lot of these foundation destruction foundations aren't going to do it on their own. Here comes Monsters of the Deep. This is going to force me to destroy run right out the gate. Heal 2 for Patrick and get a power token. Now he's at 4 power tokens. Now, I'm a pretty low health character, right? 21 health. Having 8 damage, pretty scary. Armor Titan attacks coming out here. 8 mid, 8. It's going to make me flip 1, and then it's going to shift, and then it can ruin 1. It can ruin 2 foundations, but it costs 4 stamina to do it. Now, he's attacking a backup. Really, really smart strategy here as Shin, because that's free damage. Shin goes off, makes me destroy a foundation when it deals damage. So now he attacked a backup, which is essentially a foundation for me, and when it dealt, forced me to destroy a foundation. Now I'm on 1 foundation, 1 backup, 1 asset going into my turn 3. Let's just see what happens. I'm looking through my discard pile. I review out the Jaw Titan's Bite. Remember, I think I'm going to be building here. I don't want to get too aggressive, but I do want to have some sort of momentum to go forward. So it looks like I was thinking about just building out, but now I'm going to go for an attack. Let's see what happens. I play the Determined Advance and I hard check a 6. This is going to get me momentum. My worry about using that emerging threats, I don't think I was thinking about building out. I was thinking about playing a backup and then emerging threats, seeing it down. But then he would be able to use his Armor Titan attacks to ruin it, and I didn't want to get it ruined. From here, I did get a little bit of damage off. Now Patrick's going to be able to heal that up as Shin, and then I choose to build out. Looking back on it, I sort of wish that I had pushed a little harder on this turn, because that was kind of going to be the best setup. Like 1 backup and 1 foundation and an airship was almost going to be the best setup that I have for a while this game, because you'll see how quickly this just completely falls apart for me here. Ravagers of War coming out. Checking a 4. That's a little rough. Checking a 4 on the 8, but the History's Greatest Monsters are going to get to re-ready themselves. Forces me to destroy one, forces me to spend a momentum. That's very, very strong against my character specifically. And he's attacking a backup. And then his Shin is going to be able to go off. So that's going to be 2 foundations gone. Now he's using his Destroy Emerges to take down my other foundation. We're 1 attack in, and my board has just been nuked. So maybe I should have gone for it on the previous turn, you know? And maybe I should have just gone ahead and used the emerging threats and then made him use part of his Armor Titan attacks. You know, it's going to go off eventually. So here I go into my turn. I mean, he played 1 attack and I'm on 2 backups now. I'm in 0% better of a place as I was previously. Patrick has now built up to like, let's see, 8 foundations. He has like 7 power tokens. He's got a Cape of No Return. Okay, Gunflame Feint comes down. I'm going to get to tension. 1 more momentum and I do transform. But I'm thinking, because as soon as I do transform, it's harder to get momentum, right? And so I'm sort of wanting to stockpile momentum to where I can have this crazy strong turn. Now, the Roman cancel is also going to help me stay alive, right? It's going to get me a free block, essentially take something down to 3 damage and make Patrick at least have to string together a couple moves, because now I'm in the danger zone. I mean, Patrick can probably just kill me and quit just letting me survive. Going for a build out here. Let's see if I can actually hold on to these foundations. These aren't really high quality foundations. And then I play the attack and fail the attack. Okay, so not in a great spot. Inspiring Song, 0 div, 2 backups. Still haven't quite used my airship. Patrick's asking, I think, about Annie, about the minus damage. Is it usable in defense or whatnot? Knockdown blow, and he just continues to attack my backups. You know, Patrick is just feeling no pressure to end the game and actually kill me. Destroy emerges coming in, so once he kills this backup, he's also going to kill my only foundation. You guys can kind of see where this is going. I mean, this game is effectively over. Part of me right now probably just wants to scoop the game and go to game 2. But at the same time, Annie is capable of having a comeback. If Patrick allows me to live for long enough, it doesn't take much to string out on 0 foundations for Annie once I transform. The difficult part is that I haven't transformed yet, and it's going to be difficult to even transform. Here comes a female Titan, and it's also attacking the backup. So I'm avoiding having any damage done to me, avoiding having to block and use my Roman cancel here, but I cannot save my backup. I am now just on a military airship. We're on turn 5, and I have 0 backups. I have 0 foundations. And looking back on it, that turn that I had a backup and a foundation and an airship and hard check to 6 on determined advance, it was almost like that was God telling me, this is your chance. You know, look, I'm giving you a 6 check. And I didn't take it. So playing another Gunflame Feint, getting those Roman cancels are basically my only chance of staying alive. So I have to have a Roman cancel. See what happens from here. Patrick, by the way, is fully back up in health, right? His character heals 1 every time a foundation is destroyed. And so poking into Shin Godzilla really isn't that great because eventually he just heals back up. Now on this one, I did attack the Armor Titan. Get some damage in, get the Armor Titan out of the way, hopefully hold on to some of my foundations here. Patrick does have female Titan to go and pick up knockdown blow. Oh, it looks like I attacked the female Titan. And here's a build. Once again, not a super strong build, but it's something. Let's see what's going to happen. I mean, there's just not much here to say at this point. It's kind of completely run away from me. Everybody can see where this is going. Patrick goes and grabs the knockdown blow with the female. If I did attack into it and not the armor, I didn't do enough damage to keep it off. I think he somehow got the damage down. Here's the knockdown blow. And he's going to be using his banters, I think is what it's called, disrespectful banter, to make me destroy face up. My other one is face down, so he can't destroy it. I make him spend a power token with my backup. I don't know if he's attacking me or the backup. You know, if he'll just put me out of my misery. He looks like he's dumping a lot of damage into it, which means he's probably attacking me. Here comes a 1 high block. And I pass it. So there you go. Staying alive. Harness on Death. Secret text. 1 high block. I think I spent the momentum for 2 to my check probably. Female Titan coming out now. +3 or -3 difficulty, +3 damage. So this starts out as a 7 high 10. I think there's still several power tokens. It's kind of hard to tell at the moment how many there are. And he's sitting on a stack of 5 power tokens, it seems. I do have the Roman cancel, though. And I just choose to take it going down to 9. Maybe I should have Roman canceled that one, but if I Roman cancel that one, he's got all those power tokens over there, right? So if it's not lethal and keeps me above 3 health, then I don't Roman cancel it. And then a build out here from Patrick. So I'm going into this turn. I've got a backup at least. I can sack that backup and transform. And then I would need something crazy to go through Cape and however many cards Patrick's holding and double Inspiring Song that can say -2 to my check. But I go ahead and cycle here. And I go for the Jaw Titan's Bite. I commit the backup. Doesn't really matter. I'm probably going to be sacking the backup to transform. Oh, I didn't say +2 to my check on the previous one. I hadn't transformed yet. I had used the fighter jets for the -2 speed. That's why Harness on Death was able to block it. Sorry, I'm watching this at 2x speed. And so I'm going to be making some missteps here with my commentary. Patrick gets a block off here on Jaw Titan's Bite. I just go for it again. At this point, I'm just giving up. I'm never going to have foundations. I'm not going to try to have foundations. Let's just string out as much as I possibly can on 0 foundations. So I military airship the first Jaw Titan's Bite to my hand. And we get another block off here. And Patrick gets to re-ready those History's Greatest Monsters on defense. And now it's his turn to cycle. I'm pretty sure that if we look back at this game, Patrick could have killed me several turns over and just hasn't been feeling the pressure to do so. Support coming down, able to pass it with the +2 to my check. Remember, we know I have the Jaw Titan's Bite in hand. And here come in the Inspiring Songs to say -2 to my check. Again, this is just a Hail Mary to try and get some damage in. And look, some damage happens. Now I know that he's going to heal up, but he probably can't heal completely up to full by the time of my next time that my military airship is unfrozen. It's probably going to take a recharge turn, right, in order to get there. And I failed the check for my foundation. But what good was that foundation going to do anyway? If I built it, he's going to use the disrespectful bouncer or the final words. And he shows me the attacks, and that is game 1. So game 1 goes to Patrick. Dominant showing. Again, looking at it, going into it, I felt really, really good. Like I was going to be able to string and get through the foundation destruction. And we just saw that I was completely neutralized. I didn't fully calculate how strong Shin Godzilla attacking the backups was going to be. I didn't see what ended that game 1. Was it just that I gave up? I think it was just that I gave up and then Patrick showed me his hand. Oh, I think he showed me the throw. I think he was playing that like dismantling the wall, the 2 mid-9 throw or whatever. So he could just play that, throw a bunch of damage on it. My deck doesn't play any throw hate. It's over. Now going first though, I feel like I have a very, very good chance. Because if we look at that build that I had in that game 1, right? The finally free Marley's Warriors, short-lived promotion, emerging threats, Botan's coaching. If I have that exact same build going first, and now I'm an 8-hander, I build a backup with my emerging threats. So now it's like I have 6 foundations. The Marley's Warriors is huge bonuses to my checks. The finally free is going to possibly allow me to transform on my very first attack. If I play like a determined advance, blitz for the momentum, finally free for the momentum, blow up the committed Marley's Warriors for momentum. Now I'm transforming on my first attack. I'm going to be getting basically +3 to all my checks. I can definitely kill on turn 2. So let's see how strong of a build I get on turn 1. And if I'm able to not make this deck look so bad, because frankly, that first game was kind of embarrassing to commentate. I don't think I played well, and I just got annihilated. Little bit of my spirit broken there in that game 1, which is exactly what Shin wants to do. Okay, so we got a short-lived promotion into double emerging threats, into a 0 diff. Not the best early build, but those double emerging threats could go a long way. Monster of the Deep coming down immediately destroys one of my foundations. But if I can draw into I'm going to be an 8-hander, right? So if I can rip into several attacks and get a couple backups to build off the emerging threats, I could have a very, very strong turn 2 here. Patrick has 2 cards in hand, had a pretty solid build, but we don't see quite as many destruction there. We just got the Destroy It Emerges, which is your turn only. So Shin Godzilla is ready, which means that he could add damage to my attack and then make me blow up if it deals damage. That's the danger. It looks like I got into 1 backup. The fighter jets was able to build down, but not into 2 backups. So I built the fighter jets. I went ahead and blew up 1. I used the determined advance. That's putting me at 2 momentum right now. Now he blocks, and this is terrible for me. He blocks with armored titan attacks, shifts, because when you block with it, you build it down, and now he's going to be able to blow up my face down. And if he chooses to take damage, he can add the 2 damage with the Shin Godzilla and blow up 2 of my foundations on my own turn. And then my character is also destroying my foundations. So I go ahead and transform here. I know that my face down is going to get destroyed anyway, so I go ahead and do it for a benefit of me, right? To get that 3rd momentum and to transform. And let's just see what I can do on this turn 2. Shin Godzilla does come in, saying the 2 damage. Makes me blow up my foundation. Now I just have the backup. And I build out from here. I am going to be at 3 momentum. I choose to shift the Chivalrous Charge down. Maybe I should have just taken the momentum. And that should be committed, by the way. That's a mistake of mine too. Okay, Patrick pointed it out. Female Titans is coming in. I think it's attacking the Ingress anyway. Is it Ingress? I can't quite remember. I'm thinking about what to do with those finally frees, how soon to use them. If I use them both, I'm going to be on 5 momentum. It's not going to take foundations to string out. So I'm not feeling too terrible quite yet. And I know that he's going to be destroying them because when Ingress gets destroyed, he's going to destroy a foundation too. This is a 6i9 currently. There goes Ingress. There goes a foundation because it dealt damage. And now Patrick is building out. Double History's Greatest Monster. Inspiring Song. Double History's Greatest. Very, very strong for those late game strings, since those count as 2 foundations basically. 3 foundations over the course of a turn cycle. The secret text on them is that they have the deadlock to give throw. Okay, here comes Gunflame Feint. I am going to get a momentum attention off of this. That's going to put me at 6 momentum. Each momentum means +2 to a check. I'm not going to be getting the 2 speed because I don't have the 2 backups. Let's see. Gunflame Feint deals damage. Now I'm going into a determined advance where I check a 3, 4, 5. I have to commit for the 6. Oh, because he didn't block the Gunflame Feint, I also got +1 to my check. So that wasn't as risky as it looked, right? Going for the 7 because I had +3 to my check and I'm able to commit my backups to pass checks. But both of my kind of foundations here are now committed. I did get +2 to my check, but then he used Inspiring Song to make it just +1. He's down to 11. Let's see what we can do. We're going to need to check well. Because it's blocked, I go ahead and use my Roman Cancel to clear it. Get rid of my progressive. And let's see if we can land a kill here. Chivalrous Charge coming in. Checks a 7 for a 5. This is going to be a 3 low 7. Now it's a 3 low 10. It's a 3 low 10 with +2 to our next check. It's not quite lethal. Taking Patrick all the way down to 1. I have +2. Patrick still has Ready Foundations. It's probably going to take 2 attacks here to do it, right? But if I just check 2 5s, I should be good. All right, here comes support, and I check a 3. Now, I had the Jaw Titans in hand, and I could have, if I had checked that 3, it's a 4-5, but I do have to commit my character. So the math is the same either way. Even if I go Jaw Titans into Jaw Titans, right, because I had a Jaw Titans in my discard pile, because I committed my character, I wasn't going to be able to pass the check anyway. So, I mean, the math worked out the same, right? I was on check 2 5s to win the game, and I checked a 3 there. I think so, right? It was on a 4 5 6. I had +2 to my check. That would have been a 3 4 5. Yeah, and I would have had to commit my character. So, I mean, the math was the same. That's just why it looked wonky. But I was on, if I had checked 2 5s there, I win the game. And I had 1 foundation and 1 backup going into that turn. That just shows like the kind of what the deck is supposed to do. You know, it's supposed to string out like crazy on little foundations and put out all these high damage moves. Not able to do it there though. And now Smiling Titan coming in and attacking my backup. That is gonna, because I tried to attack so aggressively, I didn't get a build out there. And this is gonna put me on no foundations. Now I am going to go ahead and say minus damage and +2 to my check, it seems. Or no. I think he just blitzed to make me to make me spend a momentum. There goes the backup. And just like game 1, my board is clear. And Patrick had gone all the way down to 1 health. Now he's at 6 health. He's been able to gain health quite quickly because Monsters of the Deep gains 2 health. Every time something's destroyed, he gains a health. Wrath of Godzilla gains 2 health when something's destroyed, and he can re-ready it. Looks like Patrick's going to go ahead and go for the win here. Checks a 6. Goes for it on an 8. Checks a 6. Now he's going to be able to pass another attack. But don't forget that my check bonuses stack. So I can block one of these things, meaning he has to make both of them 21 damage. This one is coming in as a 7-10. I'm choosing to take it. Let's see what this last attack is for Patrick. I don't think he realizes that if I spend another momentum, I'm going to have +4 to my check. So he goes for the armored, checks a 4 here, but it was only on a 7 because of the -3 difficulty. I say +4 to my check. So it's an 8 mid. I go to block on a 9 with +4, check a 7, and that puts me all the way down to 1. It wasn't quite lethal. I think Patrick just mismathed it. Now, I would have blocked it if I checked a 5, but I didn't check a 5. So what are you going to do? There goes 2 momentum. 2 destroy merges get built. I think Patrick just completely mismathed that attack turn, kind of misplayed there. Going into my turn, I'm at 1 health. I have no foundations. I have 1 momentum, but I have to swing because Patrick's mostly tapped out here too. And he's only at 6. So let's see what happens. Jaw Titan's Bite coming in. 3 high 4. We check a 3. We do have to commit our character. That kind of spells doom here, right? Because now we don't get the +3 damage to make this lethal, and we don't get the bonus to our check. Let's see what happens. On the bright side, Patrick can't blow up any of my foundations. Looks like I am going to go ahead and grab that Jaw Titan's Bite anyway. Here comes Chomp. Now he says Breaker 2, but he takes half damage, so he's down to 4. So Breaker 2 does end it, right? No, I can check a 6, and I do check a 6. I'm the best player in the world. I soaked up the Breaker 2 with the 0 diff. I checked a 6. This is going to be a 3 low for 7, 8, 9. He got rid of the 2 damage, so now it's down to 7. It's lethal on a half. I'm feeling really good. And he uses Massive Mutant Machine Deflect 3. I didn't even know he played Massive Mutant Machine. And the Deflect 3 changes it out. Now, hold on a second. I did miss... It looks like that's when I give up and he shows me the throw once again. Let's rewind just a little bit there because I missed a little bit of the damage there. Okay, so it came in here. It has +1 from the Jaw Titans, right? Let's see from when I first check it. Okay, he says Breaker 2. I use the Breaker 2 on the 0 diff because now he's down to 4. I go for the Chivalrous Charge, just hoping that I check a 6. I check the 6. Chivalrous Charge is going to say +3 damage on its own and +1 damage from the Jaw Titan's bite. So my dice should be at a 4. I think I just messed up. I think I forgot about the Jaw Titan's bite. You can see the actual... Here, let me show you guys. Right here, you can see the damage and the speed. So you can see that even though my dice here, it's actually a 3 low 7, it should be a 3 low 8. And I think I do correct it in a little bit. So the first thing he says is -2 damage with his Armor Titan. That takes it down to 5, but it's really 6. And then I remember that it should have the +1. Okay, so you see me, I pointed to the Jaw Titan's bite. It goes up in 1 damage. So now it's to 6 damage. And he deflects 3 with the Massive Mutant Machine to go down to 1. To be honest, I had played Patrick's Shin Godzilla quite a bit, but I hadn't in the last couple weeks before this tournament. And I didn't even know he had added Massive Mutant Machine to his deck. And it comes in here and saves his life, lets him live at 1, and then he shows me the dismantling the wall. Okay, sorry. Since I was watching this at 2x speed, and it's been a couple weeks since the event, I kind of forgot the exact order of what had happened there, but there you have it. Patrick lived at 1. I lived at 1, and then Patrick lived at 1. My Miracle 6 check, not quite enough, because then the Miracle Massive Mutant Machine hidden text of Deflect 3 came in. So there you have it. I am eliminated. My deck that I was so proud of, that was so aggressive, looked terrible in that round, and Shin Godzilla looked awesome. Okay, moving on to top 4. I flip to the other side of the bracket. Let's get started here. And we have Mothra versus King Ghidorah. Both of these Chrome Rares. You know the Mothra player is using the King Ghidorah mat, and the King Ghidorah player is using the Cowboy Bebop mat. A little bit confusing. Solid build by King Ghidorah, all things considered. And Mothra comes in, builds Imprisoned. That's Mothra's favorite foundation. Takes down the Weapon Clash, putting King Ghidorah on just a latent skill. And the, the 2 diff that removes for the +2 or -2 damage. Chivalrous Charge coming in here. One thing, guys, is it's not that my camera's messed up. The King Ghidorah player was, the King Ghidorah player was legitimately playing right to left instead of left to right. Okay, this is going to be, we used our Aaron sidestep to -2 speed here. So I think this is like a 1 low move. If it's completely blocked, then the Mothra gets to draw. Now, the Mothra is being piloted. It is completely blocked with Queen of the Monsters, the best attack in the game. And now we're seeing a build out here from King Ghidorah. Only 2 foundations. Would have really liked to see a bigger build there by King Ghidorah, because Mothra puts you in prison so quickly. And Mothra kind of has pillow. Mothra is not very strong at killing you on turn 2. It's just not going to happen. At least with the prison control lists that Drew and Elijah both played 2 top cuts in Chicago. Drew ended up, I think, in 3rd place. 3rd or 4th place. I think he lost in top 4 to Calvin. Okay, and this is a very, very similar Mothra list. The Mothra list is being piloted by Matthew. Matthew is from San Antonio, but made the drive up. to Stormcrow Games, and the other King Ghidorah is being piloted by Michael. And I think Michael was from Midland, so also made quite a drive. And that's something great about these local championships, as players are actually coming from out of town to come play. You know, we had 21 total players. I would say probably 10 to 12 were actually Lubbock natives, and then the other 10 to 12 were from out of town. San Antonio, Midland, Amarillo. I think we had a group from Colorado actually come too. I think we had like 4 players from Colorado come. So local championship prizing is doing its job. It's pulling in players and making these events pretty big. World's Weakest Hunter coming in here, attempting to get the draw 3 off, but Mothra is just never going to let that happen. Blocks here, gets the draw. Now, I will say that like Mothra's stage is quite face down right now. So we still have Mothra ready, but a lot of resources have been used. This really isn't like a prison stage quite yet, right? Like when we look at the board states, they're pretty even though Mothra is a 7-hander and King Ghidorah is a 5-hander. Shin is going to come down. Shin is going to fix up the foundation issue here, right? Basically unflips something. Unflips and readies something. You can pull it up to your hand and then build the next foundation you play. So our stage was looking pretty face down, but it's going to heal a little bit off of this attack. Later on in the game, as Queen of the Monsters builds down your attacks, Shin starts to pick up your attacks and make a crazy attack string. Mothra arrives, coming in here, when paired with Imprisoned. This really, really hurts your rival by taking away all their best pieces. Going into a Walk the Dog, we say stun 1. We're using the that 1 diff, the tense standoff. Let's see, blocking here with a Superfly Stomp. Cardboard Crusaders coming in. Doesn't quite build. It automatically builds if you have less foundations than your rival. Up to this point, I don't think any damage has been dealt. Things are looking pretty even. But I would say that like in a matchup like this of two, not necessarily control, like Mothra is definitely a control character, but King Ghidorah is not necessarily control. It's just kind of naturally difficult to kill, especially for a Mothra deck that doesn't exactly put a lot of damage on everything. So this is going to be a long game no matter what, just because of the two characters. And longer games are going to tend to favor Mothra. You know, the mill pressure is going to tend to be on the Ghidorah player because they're removing their own cards to make their character work here. Here comes Combined Firepower, the best card for King Ghidorah. This card was eroded to King Ghidorah only. You mill 4, and then you get the damage based, I think, on the non-foundations milled that way. So again, Combined Firepower, not only are we using our character to remove cards, you remove a card, draw a card, and then you get, I think, +3 damage or +2 speed. Maybe it's the other way around. But we're also milling ourselves with the Combined Firepowers. Now, I will say one of the best tools that King Ghidorah has is Koenma's Task to defeat these kind of long game decks. We can eventually remove a Koenma's Task, get a Koenma's in the discard. I mean, we're milling very, very quickly with these firepowers. We're removing with our character. And then we can play the Koenma's and remove all of a certain card from our rival's deck and grab all of a certain card from our deck. So speaking of Koenma's, there it goes. Hits the discard pile. Or is that the removed pile? I think that's the removed pile. I think down on the bottom is the discard pile. Yeah, he removed the Koenma's. If that's the first Koan was removed, it makes a lot of sense. If it's the second Koan was removed, it doesn't make sense. Now that I'm thinking about it, I can't remember how many Koan are in there. Okay, another combined firepower coming in on a Superfly Stomp. I did not see what Superfly Stomp used to put in our discard pile. Maybe it was a combined firepower. Typically, Superfly Stomps are being used to get the combined firepowers. Here comes the Shin. Going to pick up one of those face down foundations into our hand. Shin does deal damage. Aaron's sidestep goes ahead and builds down. And then just a build out here with Divine Defender and Curious About Quirks. So is Matthew in deadlock? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. He is in deadlock by 1. I'm not sure of the deadlock that King Ghidorah has. Maybe like Tri-Gravity for the deadlock stun 3. And it's just going to be a build from the King Ghidorah player as well. Yeah, and Mothra's really, really well set up. Everything's ready. The character's ready. Cardboard Crusaders could be used defensively. I think it seals the first attack. And King Ghidorah is just a 5-hander. So now that we've gotten to this late game position, it's going to be very, very difficult for King Ghidorah to push through. Basically, the only out that I see at this point is either throws, and miraculously for Mothra not to have throw hate, not to have like Protector of Lives in hand, or to be able to build in Mikasa defeats. So either like throws, but we really haven't seen a lot of throws here yet, or the Koanma's task, right? And it looks like the players are searching each other's discard piles. This is where that, Bill Stark says, mental load. This is, we're pretty late at night here. We had 5 rounds of Swiss. This is now the 7th round of Universes for these players. Looks like Sludge comes into play here. For low 4, we don't have the momentum to do the stacks, but we'll stuff the card pool for Mothra. And let's see where this is going. Was that another Koanma's task removed? Because they're definitely... Hold on, let's rewind a little bit. If that Koanma's was... Okay, so that's the second Koanma's to get removed. I'm not sure about that decision because the King Ghidorah player is close to cycling here. And once you cycle, you really want to put that Koanma's in discard. And now you have one in discard and one in removed. And you get to use Koanma's with a fresh deck, right? And here comes Combined Firepower to make a cycle. And so now we have the fresh deck, and this is where that Koanma's would be really, really big. But we need one in discard pile and one in the removed pile. Okay, they're getting a quick judge ruling on how exactly it works when Combined Firepower mills and then cycles you. So it looks like the judge came in and said, hey, put those cards in your deck. Here comes the 10 removed. Now, King Ghidorah is looking through the removed pile. Again, this is like, hey, it's late. This is now round 7. We've got a really, really complicated kind of board state here. And so there is quite a bit of searching through discard piles and remove piles. Attempts to play the Koanma's task, and then Matthew points to it and says, hey, you don't have one of those in your discard. You are not allowed to play that. And this is where it's really sad that the King Ghidorah player removed the Koanma's earlier because they had 2 Koanma's in hand, but they needed to somehow get one in the discard pile and then play the other one. Matthew's looking at face down foundations. That always means that Sen is going to be the first attack. Here comes Sen. As a practical matter, this is where it feels like the game's over, and everything after this point is just a formality. Right, this feels very, very similar to my top 8 match versus Shin, where it was like the game took 30-something minutes, but as a practical matter, it was over halfway through. But I just don't see how 5-hand size King Ghidorah is going to be able to push through the wall that has been established on the Mothra stage. Here comes Walk the Dog. We do have a momentum for Powerful 3. We have Botras there to cancel something. Cardboard Crusaders does give 3 speed or 3 damage once per turn. I don't know if we already used it or not. It's a little hard to keep up with the stat adjustments here. Not sure what we were looking for, looking at the removed pile. Walk the Dog does deal damage. And then it's just a build out here. Mothra's feeling very, very safe, you know. Hey, let's take our win and see what happens. I mean, we have, what is that, double Divine Defender? 2 Aaron sidesteps, a Mikasa defeats, substitute member Botras, Mothra free block. That means if we block with a Protector of Life, we can then play 1 Protector of Life 3 times over with the double Divine Defender. Let's see where this sludge takes us. Maybe we don't have a low block in hand. We went ahead and used Mothra for the free block. And then he said pass turn. I mean, I thought maybe, I was like, wait, did a bug bite happen? No, bug bite didn't happen. It was just pass turn right after that. And then we say, hey, we'll build our 3rd Divine Defender and we'll build Imprisoned. You know, like, we're going to win this game, but we're going to win this game eventually. Honestly, with the top cuts only having like the 90 minutes, right? And King Ghidorah, like, there's a world here in which he's kind of just scoop and say, let's try again going first. Bug Bite, we're going to be able to stack, and then we can draw it with Fearsome Transformations so we can get whatever we want. There goes Queen of the Monsters, the best attack that we get access to. Queen of the Monsters comes in. We do draw into it. Bug Bite, to me, one of the, probably a top 5 card in the Reign of Kaiju set. I think it gets slept on a lot because people are just thinking about the defensive response. But it's actually, I think the strongest part of the card is the offensive application. That it stacks your deck at a blitz speed, and then you can use your first enhance to draw whatever it is. Now, Queen of the Monsters is being used here to build in the Fearsome Transformations, I believe, with one of those momentum. Draw a card, build in Fearsome. Queen of the Monsters dealt, and we say pass turn. We'll take our 2 momentum. We're pretty well set up, and how in the world is King Ghidorah going to get through this wall? We are deep into deadlock. We get rid of the Weapon Clash. And it looks like King Ghidorah just builds 1 and passes. I mean, King Ghidorah is trapped. There's nothing that can be done here. And here comes a build from Matthew's side. I mean, he could just sculpt all day until he finds the perfect kill line. I'm tempted just to go ahead and fast forward this game, but we'll watch it through. But like when I'm trying to think of like the win condition here for King Ghidorah, now that the Koenma's play is effectively dead, I don't know what it is. I don't see a lot of like deadlock in the deck. I don't see the throws. I just don't know how we push through. And Matthew has sculpted so well. He could be sculpting attacks for a kill string, but if he had the kill string, he would have played them earlier. He's probably just gripping. Like here comes the Protector of Life, right? He's probably gripping multiple Protector of Lives, a Genkai's Guidance. I mean, there's got to at least be one Genkai's Guidance, right? He probably just has the strongest defensive hand on top of the strongest defensive stage. I mean, King Ghidorah is getting like a pretty good stage here. But it's going to take like a 8 or 9 attacks. I mean, it's going to take something crazy. Mothra's building up on momentum. The inevitability increases. Bug Bite, stack whatever we want, draw it with Fearsome. Now we're going to draw into Sen. I don't know if Sen has built in a foundation yet. Looks like we did forget to use our Imprisoned. Oh, no. That's at our Rival's turn. Sorry. Now that King Ghidorah is blocked, we are now responding with the Kikosho. It's coming in with 5 extra speed. The bonus speed from Mothra plus the bonus speed from itself. This is going to be very, very difficult to block. Probably take the rest of King Ghidorah's stage here to do it. That's a pretty healthy stage. That's probably an exaggeration on my part. Could this be the kill turn? Kikosho getting blocked with a reversal of his own. And now we have Rising Uppercut coming in and being played as an attack. This doesn't really get so far offensively for King Ghidorah, but it does like force Mothra to use... Right, we're using a card from our hand on defense. We're now having to commit foundations. Like this is probably going to be as weak as Mothra's stage ever is, right? Hey, we got like 7 committed foundations. It's still a super, super strong wall. But if there is a turn to go for it, probably is now, right? I mean, we have like 12 foundations on our side. Ghidorah is thinking it through. It's going to take something incredible. Starting off with an Earthbreaker, checking a 3 is not what you want. Earthbreaker, not the strongest here in this matchup since Mothra can always just free block it. So that like destruction from the card, not that it would go very far here anyway with Mothra so deep into deadlock. I'm personally not a fan of Earthbreaker. I don't know if you can tell by my sort of slanted analysis here, but I think it's what I call a feels good card, right? It does something if it deals damage. It's kind of like a win more card like early. Like it leads to like blowout games where like, hey, you caught him without a low block on turn 2 and you've just sprinted ahead in foundations. But then in late game scenarios similar to this one, it's just kind of dead. It's not really like pushing through this wall here. We know that Mothra's probably gripping a crazy defensive hand, so the Protector of Life comes in. Mothra has triple Divine Defender, so that Protector of Life can be played 3 times over. Mothra will always have the perfect block. That also says Breaker 1. Also gets Power Token, so that we can eventually end the game here. World's Weakest Hunter coming out. Again, World's Weakest Hunter is also what I call a feels good card because it depends on dealing damage. Like both of these attacks depend on dealing damage. Well, against a prison deck like Mothra, you're not dealing damage. So they're not really doing anything to push through the wall that's been established here. A second Protector of Life has come down. King Ghidorah has got to have sculpted into a big turn here. Here does come a throw. Jawjammer. All right, it's a base 8 damage, right? We can King Ghidorah, I think, to 11 damage. Is it 3 speed or 3 damage? I can't remember which is the higher one for King Ghidorah. Let's see here. This throw is not going to do anything because we have triple Divine Defender. So we went ahead and picked up both. Completely cleared our progressive. I mean, come on. What can we do? What can we do? Right, we just sculpted into our best position. Mothra is as shields down as ever, right? I mean, 7 foundations down, might as well go for it. Double Jawjammer, but we already know that Mothra has the other Protector of Life. At this point, we're just swinging because we're pot committed, right? I mean, at least we're making the Divine Defenders get used. And we're making the Protector of Lives get used. Eventually, we knew that Mothra sculpted into a defensive hand. Eventually, we were going to have to push through it. Now we're at least making the resources get used up so that maybe if we can somehow survive to another turn, maybe we can push through the next time. But surviving to another turn might be the issue here because we pretty much committed ourselves out. And here comes Shin. Surely one of those face down foundations is an attack at this point. I haven't necessarily been keeping up with the building the attacks. But when I see 10 plus face down foundations, I mean, one of them's got to be an attack. And we saw Draw the Walk the Dog. And we see the Team Hero to build in any foundation we want. So this is looking like it's going to be a very aggressive turn. Probably going to be a lethal turn here. Shin builds it down. Remember that's, hey, if I get 3 speed, I can then like put this in my, get 3 damage and put it in my momentum. Walk the Dog comes in here. Stun 1. Draw a card. I think we have 2 momentum for plus 6 damage. There it goes. Now 12 damage. I haven't been keeping super track of King Ghidorah's 3 heads, but I'm assuming 1 goes down here. Or we get a block off. All right, so there goes a block. Superfly Stomp, 1 low block. But thank you very much for blocking. Now my Kikosho is -2 difficulty. It's getting the 3 damage from the Deku forecheck that was built from Shin. So I think this is a 10 damage move. Looks like King Ghidorah is cycling again. I mean, if Mothra wants, Mothra can probably just chill out, you know, and win by mill. But this is looking very, very promising with King Ghidorah completely tapped out. Here comes a Violent Anima Shot. 1 high block. Thank you for blocking again. Here's another Kikosho. And that's game. So that's game 1. The King Ghidorah player then said that it was okay to go ahead and end there. Because there wasn't too much time left in the round. And that's kind of a soul-sucking game to play. By that point, it's already like 10 o'clock at night, right? So here we go to the finals on the other side of the bracket. My brother Patrick gets a win with Shin Godzilla. So we saw a blowout victory in top 8 for Patrick over myself. Then in top 4, we saw a blowout victory the other way for Matthew, Mothra. Now, both of these heavyweights are coming to the Stormcrow Championship. Who is going to get that $150 travel voucher? That invite to Worlds? All the DHR promos that you could dream of. Patrick is the higher seed. He goes first. That's going to be very, very important in this matchup against Mothra. Mothra versus a 4-check deck is very difficult for the 4-check deck. Right? 4-check decks depend on these high base damage moves, and Mothra just says free block. Also, Mothra gets access to Batra Arrives and Imprisoned, which is going to really neutralize a lot of the foundation destruction that Shin has. Here comes Monsters of the Deep. Can't Batra Arrives that foundation destruction. And here comes Too Big to Contain. Mothra is committed. At some point during that build, I suppose Matthew decided to commit Mothra. And that could be a mistake here. Now Too Big to Contain is Shin's kind of answer to Batra Arrives. Because now the Batra Arrives player, you either have to commit your Batra's Arrives or Too Big to Contain is going to blow it up. We check a 3 here, which means we can't quite pass it, which means Shin says blow one up. Too Big to Contain says blow up that Batra Arrives. We got rid of the most troublesome card on Mothra stage, and we dealt 9 damage. So Mothra is at 11 and 2 foundations. You could not ask for a better start for Shin Godzilla. Oh, and a Chomp. So we're down to 1 foundation on the Mothra side. I mean, this is a dream start for Patrick here. Not the strongest build, though. We would have really liked to have seen that go into 3 or 4 foundations and not just the one swallowed by the abnormal or whatever, the 1 def 6 check. So that puts a little bit of a dampening on our great start here, and Mothra just chooses to build 5 pretty quality foundations, right? Moment of Normalcy, Fearsome Transformations, and Mikasa Defeats, and the Substitute Member. The Substitute Member is going to be putting in a lot more work than Moment of Normalcy because the base stats for Shin are so high. Here comes another Too Big to Contain. Substitute Member already being used. I'm a little surprised by that. Blocking with the Imprison. Too Big to Contain says blow up the Moment of Normalcy. I think maybe the answer actually was to blow up the Mikasa Defeats or the Fearsome. But I understand it. Okay, blowing up the Moment of Normalcy makes a lot more sense because remember that Massive Mutant Machine that saved Shin against me with the Deflect 3? Well, now it's actually getting built. And even though Mothra can free block, which you would think kind of neutralizes Massive Mutant Machine, the Massive Mutant Machine means that Patrick is able to now force the Mothra free block. And now Mothra is not allowed to free block early because you can then put Massive Mutant Machine on something late. And if there's not a substitute member, then, or a Moment of Normalcy, then that's very, very dangerous. Especially with Mothra now being at 11, Patrick having 4 power tokens, that effectively means that everything needs to be blocked from here on out. A single attack gets through, Mothra's dead. Armor Titan coming in here. Going to be very nice for the foundation destruction of those 2 face downs that Mothra's built. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Foundations for Mothra. So Mothra has stabilized really, really nicely here. I mean, we have pretty even board states at the moment. So because of those 2 build turns that Matthew took, Patrick doesn't have a stranglehold on the game like it looked like he might have been getting on that turn 2. Now, maybe if Patrick had had a stronger build after that chomp on that turn 2, we'd be in a different spot. Okay, now we have a female Titan coming in. Patrick's basically hope here is, I know I'm not going to be dealing damage, but I need to get Matthew to use all of his defensive resources, right? Those Mikasa Defeats, the Substitute Member, the Shobijins, the Aaron Sidestep. Every time one of those buttons is pressed, that's a win for Shin, right? So now the Substitute Member is gone. Because we committed the Massive Mutant Machine, Substitute Member goes away, and we half block it, and then we use one of the Mikasa Defeats. So this attack alone took away Substitute Member, took away a Mikasa Defeats. That's a very successful attack, even though it didn't deal damage. And now we have a strong build out here for Patrick. The biggest thing that Patrick has, and well, I won't spoil it quite yet, but just keep your eye on those history greatest monsters because they're going to come up pretty big here. We have the Armor Titan, so we can ruin 2. We have the Female Titan, so we can pick up Knockdown Blow. Sen comes down, checks a 3. We love to check a 3 on Sen because we're just going to pick it up anyway. Looks like Wrath of Godzilla is getting readied. Shin builds up those power tokens so fast that spending 1 to ready Wrath of Godzilla doesn't actually feel too terribly. Building in the Mothra arrives, pretty solid. And then looks like just a build out is coming. So Airship, Team Hero, Substitute Member, Divine Defender, a very, very strong build here for Matthew. Now I'm going to pause the screen here and show you guys something. When we look at Matthew's stage, how many foundations do we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Matthew is in deadlock. Now, Patrick has one of the best deadlocks in the game. 2 History's Greatest Monsters down here. History's Greatest Monster says, commit, this attack gains throw. And then you can re-ready it and give your next attack throw. So basically, just between these 2, Patrick has 4 instances of giving something throw. Now, over here on Mothra's side, we know we have the Genkai's Guidance, right? We have the Protector of Lives, and we have Mothra Arrives. Mothra Arrives can seal it, which not only keeps it from giving the throw, but also keeps it from re-readying and giving another thing a throw. But if we can somehow get through that Mothra Arrives, and there isn't any throw hate in Mothra's hand, then these History's Greatest Monsters can be game-winning. And again, Mothra isn't really capable of outputting that much damage. And so, you know, maybe Mothra has the Genkai's Guidance or has the Protector of Lives. But over time, we can continue forcing those answers to be needed and eventually win the game, right? If we're getting the double History's Greatest Monster for 3-4 turns in a row, eventually we're going to exhaust those throw hate resources on Mothra's side. Oh, we also have the Mikasa defeats. Protector of Life's not going to be a great answer for Mothra because Patrick also has Dark Ward and can cancel the response on Protector of Life. Okay. All of this to say something kind of sad here happens. And that's that Patrick completely misses the deadlock on History's Greatest Monster. Like, not to, you know, spoil things too much. I'll go ahead and press the play button here and let them keep going. But Patrick completely misses the History's Greatest Monster. Matthew builds into deadlock multiple times. And I think it's because this is round 8 now of the day. It's 11 o'clock at night. Patrick and I both have young kids. I mean, 11 o'clock at night, this is bedtime, dude. You are exhausted. And I don't think that Patrick had played against a rival all day that had gone into deadlock because he was always able to get a stranglehold on them. And so this is probably, you know, this is round 8, it's late at night, and this is probably the first time that somebody's gone into deadlock. And then the last thing is that Matthew, and I know I was there watching this, right? And I so desperately wanted to like show Patrick the History's Greatest Monster, but I'm not going to do that, right? That's coaching and very, very cheating. And so I'm not going to do that. But it was killing me inside watching. And Patrick never noticed it because, well, one, I don't think he was looking for it. And 2, Matthew and Mothra, you're under no obligation to say that you're in deadlock. You know, it's always one of those things like, when you build into deadlock the first time, are you obligated to say it out loud? Like, hey, just so you know, I've built into deadlock. Well, maybe if it's a friendly game or if it's just a testing game. But when you're on the championship of your local championship and the winner here goes to Worlds and the winner here gets $150, you don't have to say it. So I'm just saying that like Patrick's brain never wakes up to the reality that, hey, I've got this history's greatest monster deadlock here. You also have the deadlock on like Destroy Emerges to just be cranking out power tokens like crazy. So what we see here, I guess, what I'm saying is for the remainder of this game is Patrick just swinging and swinging and swinging and almost getting there sometimes, but not quite, and eventually dying. But let's just see. So we're on a good string here. We got Too Big to Contain into Duplicious built in Smiling, I think. So we can go ahead. Building and Smiling means that we can be like a little more aggressive here on this turn because we can go ahead and form and say, hey, you have to attack this first. And we know that Mothra already like doesn't have a lot of damage output. That's pretty solid. Now, if you look here, even though Patrick didn't notice the history's greatest monsters deadlock, like look at how much he's done. Matthew's board is almost all face down at this point, and Mothra's been tapped. So even if no damage is dealt this turn, it's still a very successful turn because we've really forced Mothra to use a lot of their defensive resources. And then if Patrick realizes that he's got the deadlocks, I mean, you can see how powerful this becomes, especially with Dark Ward. So here we see Mothra now down to one face-up foundation. Almost everything's committed out, but I don't think Patrick can pass another attack. Just enough to get a Cape of No Return out. And we're going to use the final words for the Mikasa defeats. So look at this. Mothra has 0 face-up foundations. Everything's face down. It's not a terrible position, actually, for Shin here, even in the late game. Now, Mothra does have Team Hero, right? So we can go and get whatever foundation we want out of our discard pile. Walk the Dog coming down. We have to attack the Smiling Titan, right? So there goes Smiling Titan. Another Walk the Dog coming down. This is going to give us the draw 2. And we can airship, pick up the first one, and then play it again to draw 2 more. So between these 2 Walk the Dogs, we can essentially get draw 5. This is looking like a pretty good start to a kill stream. And I think we drew into an Animus Shot, which we can just go ahead and like Animus Shot the Smiling Titan. But we're not in a great, we do have to be like cautious because there's a Cape of No Return on Shin's side. And if we actually attempt to string out, we don't have a lot of strength in our foundation base here to stay alive. So we're thinking it through, right? We have the attacks to potentially go for it. But if we swing and we miss, Patrick's going to have an opening. So here comes Bug Bite. 1 high 5. Stack our deck. Looks like we're stacking it with a 6 check. We're building in the Deku Foundation that says +3 damage. Basically saying, hey, you block my Bug Bite, I get the +3 damage to my next one. But you need to block my Bug Bite because it's going to be the only blockable attack. So the block does come down. We're going to respond for the 3 speed. Here comes the Animus Shot. We stacked the 6. We say +3 damage. And now it's going to be a flash and we remove the Smiling Titan, right? We go ahead and fail it. And this puts Shin all the way down to only 8 health. We get to remove 1 from hand. There goes Female Titan attacks. That's a pretty solid hand rip right there. And we got to get around the Cape of No Return, right? So Shin is down to 8 life. Only defense at the moment is a Cape of No Return. Can Mothra get the job done, or do we pump the brakes and build out? All right, so we are building out, but once again, we're building into deadlock. And to be honest, I'm not even sure that Matthew realizes he's building into deadlock. Because building into deadlock here, and it's hard to tell that he's in deadlock, right? Because look at the foundations, right? Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Once again, we're at deadlock by 1. But the way the foundations are here, I mean, this is perfectly fine. But it's just that because there's so many face downs, sometimes it's hard to tell. And it certainly doesn't look like a massive board, right? This isn't like that King Ghidorah game where it was like, oh, we're in deep deadlock. You wouldn't, just from a glance, you wouldn't think that Mothra's in deadlock. But Mothra is. And that should mean game here. Because Patrick has a Dark Ward. And so Protector of Life does nothing. There is no more Team Hero for Mothra. The Team Hero was used offensively. And so Team Hero's gone. The only throw hate is going to be Protector of Life, and Patrick can cancel the throw hate. So he can just make this too big to contain a throw, dump all his power tokens into it, and win the game. He's going to get 2 damage from his character. He's going to get the +4 damage. The +10 damage, I think, from the power tokens. He just ends the game. He wins right here if he notices the deadlock. But he doesn't notice. And the game goes on. When a foundation is destroyed on Mothra's side, Patrick uses Wrath of Godzilla to gain 2 more life. Now he's at 11 health. Pretty good build out here with double Destroya. Basically meaning that even if Matthew builds in quality foundations, those Destroya emerges can just take away those quality foundations. Cycle here for Patrick. Doing some math here. I mean, Patrick's going to be able to block a couple times, right? And we have the cape. If Matthew just chooses to build, the Destroya emerges, can come after whatever he builds. And the Disrespectful Banter kills the face app. So it's probably going to kill that 0 diff. Shen comes in. We're deciding what to effectively unflip. I wish we could see the answer, but we can't see the answer of what was unflipped. But we can kind of see when something gets built down. I do have this on 2x speed, but the players are thinking here. It's sort of funny, like the prison deck is all face down and the Shin deck is actually the more face up. But like this looks like it should be a complicated board state, but it's actually not. Because it's so, I guess, simple. Not a strong defensive build here, but we do get Team Hero. But once again, I think this puts us into deadlock. And once again, Patrick misses the deadlock. Now here, it's not as scary as earlier because Matthew can use the Team Hero, right, to go and build. You can go and build like Mikasa defeats and get a little bit of throw hate. Here comes the Chomp. Another Destroyer emerges. And at this point, Patrick knows, okay, we got 3 Destroyer emerges and the Disrespectful to kind of take down a lot of the good foundations, but he's going to have to sculpt. And I don't think his Shin list is on a high attack ratio. So that sculpt is going to take a while, right? Matthew's thinking, can I go for it? Every turn that Matthew doesn't go for it, Patrick's been able to heal, right? Now Patrick's at 13 health, right? A couple more turns of not dealing damage and Shin's going to probably be back at full health. Thanks to Monsters of the Deep healing, Wrath of Godzilla healing, Shin healing. So you can't really afford to take your foot off the gas too much. Mothra Arrives gets built here. Very, very strong. And here is where Patrick should definitely notice Matthew's in deadlock. Right? Now, this is a stage that, like, you should notice. Right? We're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, this is kind of the stage where, like, it's starting to look like a wall. And speaking of the life gain, we can see that Patrick's now all the way up at 17 health. The Destroy Emerges is coming in. He's going to say, no, I'm going to Bachelor Arrives. But now Bachelor Arrives is down, which means everything else should be good. Here comes an Inspiring Song. Ravagers of War now coming in. Remember, all Shin Godzilla needs is one move. And then we're going to be dumping those power tokens into it. Because that early Too Big to Contain got through, Mothra is very much in the danger zone. And Mothra's defensive stage isn't very strong. I mean, we get the free block, probably clutching a Genkai's Guidance. If he can get through those, Patrick can still win the game here, even without the throws. Five high 7. Destroy Emerges comes down. Says goodbye to the Divine Defender. Mothra stage, effectively just blank. Still a lot of foundations though. And those do pass checks. So block comes in here. One high block here on Team Hero. Female coming in on a 7. We had the bonuses to our checks. So this is going to be a 5 high 10 because of the Mothra response on the speed and the +3 damage from the knockdown blow. Now here you can really tell how tired Patrick was, right? Watch what happens here. Watch what happens. This right here is a foundation, and this is Patrick's deck, right? This was Inspiring Song, and we saw Inspiring Song get used. Watch what Patrick does. He goes to draw off the female, right? So we're first making the stats, and he goes to draw off the female, and he picks up the Inspiring Song, and he starts to cycle his deck. He draws the Inspiring Song and starts to cycle his deck. Before he cycles, Matthew says, hey, dude, chill out. You're cycling your deck. And Patrick realizes, oh, I drew my Inspiring Song. So I guess what I'm saying here is that it's almost midnight. It's round 8. It's almost midnight. Players are tired. So when we see the history's greatest monster deadlock not being found, I mean, both players are exhausted. Bug Bite block comes in. We can respond to ready our character, but I think Patrick used Dark Ward on this. Very, very powerful. Let's see. Yeah, here's the Dark Ward. Bug Bite comes in, and the Dark Ward gets flipped. So one of the best responses to cancel. Not going to let you get that free block off twice. On an 11, check a 6. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Probably going to be the last attack that Shin can play. It is 8 speed. It does. He says flip a foundation, flips that 0 diff. Power tokens are getting dumped into it. We're just hoping that 6 speed with 2 in Mothra's card pool is going to be enough. Probably not, but let's see. Now it's lethal. I think Patrick's just kind of swinging it here, right? Trying to make it. Yeah, and here comes Protector of Life. Was that game if Matthew checked a 3? Let's go back and look at Matthew's check and how many he committed. So he checks a 5 here, right? This is on a 6, 7, 8. I think Protector of Life is a 2, so 9, 10. If we check a 3, then that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're a 3 check away. 1 foundation up, Matthew lives. So even without the History's Greatest Monster deadlock, Shin Godzilla is still 1 3 check away from winning this game. I mean, Mothra's probably not going to be able to kill because we have the Cape of No Return. But this is as wide open as Shin Godzilla is going to be, right? So let's see. Now, Shin Godzilla is almost all the way healed up to 19 health. But Queen of the Monster is going to be a very, very strong attack to start out with here. We're saying, hey, we're going to go ahead and build our bot. We're going to spend a momentum, draw a card, build a Botris. We're using armor, the Armor Titan to sack 1, get a power token. Using that power token to ready up Wrath of Godzilla. Wrath of Godzilla is then getting committed, I think, to gain 2 life. Yeah, so Patrick's now all the way up to 22. Basically, earlier in the game, Shin Godzilla was at 9 health. Now Shin Godzilla basically almost went all the way up to full health. Queen of the Monsters does deal damage. We're saving basically we're saying, hey, we can maybe block a Bug Bite and use a Cape of No Return. Checking poorly here on this Queen. Building in another bot, military airship, the other Queen. And then we built in a Botris. Down to 8. Here comes Walk the Dog. Commit some more. We do have a momentum, right? This is probably going to say, hey, you have to use your Cape of No Return now. So here comes the Cape, and we know that there's other stuff. And that's game 1. Game 1 goes to Mothra. Again, on the turn before, Patrick was a 3 check away from taking it. Didn't quite get there. Had Patrick noticed the deadlock, I think he gets there. I think he just had game on that one turn where the only throw hate that Mothra could have had was the Protector of Life, and the Dark Ward would have canceled it. But even then, came within a 3 check. Now, that said, everything went Shin Godzilla's way at the beginning. Had a perfect start. Got the hit with the Too Big to Contain, thanks to Matthew checking a 3. And then got the chomp off. I mean, everything was going well. And so we go into game 2. Game 2 is very different. It doesn't go as well Patrick's way at the beginning. And Mothra gets really established. That said, it's still a very, very back and forth game. Game 2 is a great game. The reason I'm not showing it all to you is because my phone ran out of battery and stopped recording. So it did end up going 2-0 to Mothra, and Matthew wins. So congratulations to Matthew. Cannot say thank you enough to everybody who traveled to Stormcrow Games from far away. I know that this was several hours for Matthew to drive. I hope it was worth it coming down, getting to take it. Sad for my brother, obviously, because this is his 2nd straight local championship to get 2nd place in. So still fighting for that World's Invite, but he will be in Vegas. So all it takes is a top 8 in Vegas to get that World's Invite. And a really, really fun game there. It was back and forth. Apart from missing the History's Greatest Monster, though, I thought Patrick played really, really well. And I thought Matthew played pretty well, too. I don't think this was like a super poorly played. I think both players deserved to be here in the championship. I think they both played pretty well. And Matthew ends up taking it. I do think that Mothra is probably one of the, at least a top 5 deck currently. You know, we saw Elijah and Drew do well with it in Chicago, and that was during the Titan of Terra meta. You have to think that since things have conceivably slowed down somewhat, that Mothra would be even better positioned. Probably somewhat even versus Reiner. When it gets to a long game, I tend to lean Reiner, but I'm not going to completely count Mothra out there. So anyway, all that to say, this is too long of an outro. Had a blast at the Stormcrow Games Championship. Congratulations to Matthew. Phenomenal play from Mothra, showing that Mothra is very, very much still alive in the meta. And congratulations to Patrick for continuing to do well with this Shin deck. 2 local championships in a row of getting to the finals with Shin before ultimately getting taken down. Both times Patrick lost in the final. Like the first time was to me on Deku, where I was playing like a control Deku. And Mothra and Deku are very similar, where they basically get a free block. Right? Deku takes the speed down to 0. Mothra just gets the free block. Free block decks are always going to be strong against 4-check decks. It's always going to be uphill for the 4-check deck. So considering how bad of a matchup it was, both times I'm pretty impressed with how hard Shin Godzilla fought here to still make it somewhat of a game. So there you have it. That was the Stormcrow Games local championship. I think that our next local championship is going to be on June 20th. So if you're around West Texas, come on over. June 20th. Would love to have you. And hey, Las Vegas Regional in just a couple days. You know I'm going to be there. Patrick and I are both going to be there. So come and say hi if you see me. And I will. I'll see you guys in Vegas.